Well, folks, if you are not aware, let me enlighten you. Moscow has a fascinatingly fiery history, bursting into flames quite a few times due to many reasons, some natural, some not so natural. Its last big blaze was in 1812, courtesy of the war with our tiny friend Napoleon. You might be wondering why I'm bringing up a history lesson at this point. Well, the modern day fireworks have traded fire for drone attacks, with Moscow experiencing two such surprises just last week. I'm Maria Drutska, and today we're diving into the mysteries of drone attacks in Moscow, sudden firecracks in Crimea, and how Putin is actually saving Africa by fighting a war in Ukraine. On the 24th of July, Moscow was abruptly woken up by an orchestration of booms. The internet rumor mill suggested this was a drone dance aimed at the capital. The blame for this expected wake-up call was placed on Ukraine. Because who else, right? And I frankly do not understand why specifically us. We are a completely peaceful country that brings peace and tranquility to the region. Moscow's mayor Sergei Sobyatin shared that at 4 a.m. local time, drones strike on two non-residential buildings. According to the official, there are no serious damages or casualties. Russian propagandists write that fragments of a drone were found on Komsomolsky Prospect, just right in the city center, and was really a shame. No serious damage. Maybe this mysterious drone pilot wanted to help Moscow residents knock down a couple of buildings for a few parks or playground. Anyway, debris was found near a two-story building, which is located not far from the Ministry of the Defense of the Russian Federation. The roof of the building was damaged. Also, windows were broken in the surrounding buildings by the blast wave. In addition, on Likhachova Street in Moscow, at a business center after the explosions, there was visible damage to the glazing on the upper floors. Also, witnesses observed smoke and a small fire. After some time, Russian police also blocked traffic on this street. The Ministry of Defense of the aggressor country claimed that supposedly Ukraine tried to strike an object on the territory of Moscow using two drones. They stated that they used electronic warfare means to counter the drones. But there is a small problem. This business center on Likhachova Street only got completed in 2022 and possibly not have been considered when the benefactors who launched the drones in the direction of the Russian Ministry of Defense didn't account for the height the drones had to fly, causing it to hit the business center. Such an unfortunate surprise. So here I am sharing this story. Today, I woke up in the morning like all normal people. I immediately started scrolling through the news. And here is what happened. Early in the morning on July 30, more morning explosions, this time near the Moscow City Business Center. The Russian Ministry of Defense stated that 3 drones participated in the attack on Moscow. The Russian Ministry of Defense, or should we call it Ministry of Attack, as they attacked us. Although, considering the number of fakes, they could be called the Ministry of Bullshit. Anyway, according to the Russians, 1 drone was destroyed by air defense forces over the territory of the Odintsovo district of the Moscow region. There is no confirmation of the air defense system working in Odintsovo district, neither from eyewitnesses nor from the Russian Ministry of Defense. At the same time, there were confirmations of the air defense systems working as stated over Moscow. Other drones were suppressed by electronic warfare means and fell on the territory of the business center, as I said. Judging by eyewitness photos, the drone struck the 10th floor of the IQ Quarter office complex, which is confirmed by a recording of a conversation with the building security guard. It is known that the offices of the Ministry of Economic Development, Ministry of Industry and Trade, Ministry of Digital Development and other governmental agencies are located there. Witnesses report that a large number of documentation from the Ministry of Digital Development were blown out of the building by the explosion. Moving on to another firework display, let's talk about other explosive news of this week. The Jankoy district of occupied Crimea experienced a bit of a light show as an ammunition depot decided to blow its top. Thanks to some trigger-happy spectators, this captivating performance made its way to social media. The destruction of the ammunition depot was confirmed by the so-called Russian occupation authorities. The temporary unjailed Gauleiter of Crimea, Sergei Aksyonov, painted a picture of the event. A Monday morning, July 24th, was apparently punctuated by Ukrainian drones launching an attack on Russian military objects, planted like mushrooms in the occupied peninsula. Also, he stated that 11 drones were allegedly shot down and suppressed by electronic warfare. Aksyonov also added that an ammunition depot in the Jankoy district was hit. Explosions could be heard near the village of Veselaya, 15 kilometers from Jankoy. By the way, there is a military airfield there which is not currently in use. Russian troops have set up a storage facility for ammunition there. In a predictable series of events, train services in the district were suspended and the Jankoy-Simferopol highway was closed. In addition, the occupiers decided to evacuate the population from nearby villages within a radius of 5 kilometers to temporary relocation points due to the scattering of ammunitions. Moving on, Sevastopol has certainly given us a cause for some cheer. Although it's not exactly the sinking of their entire fleet, but better than nothing. The Russian ammunition depot exploded in the Kozak Bay near Sevastopol in the temporarily occupied Crimea. This happened late on Friday evening, July 28. The main Directorate of Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine reported this on Saturday. The cause of the explosions was probably sabotage. Surely, when Budanov saw the result, he could not help but shed a nostalgic tear for the good old days, remembering how he had terrorized the Russians in Crimea even before the full-scale invasion. By the way, I have made a video about our mysterious man Budanov. I encourage you to watch it if you haven't already. It has a story of Budanov's performance in Crimea as well. I will leave the link in the description below. And if you are enjoying this video so far, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you want to support the channel and help us grow, you can do so through my Patreon or buy me a coffee, which I have shared in the description below. According to our military intelligence, on July 28, around 10 in the evening, it was loud in the area of Kozak Bay in the temporarily occupied Crimea. Witnesses heard two explosions and the sounds of further ammunition detonation. Emergency services were quick to arrive on the scene. The military noted that this area is home to the 810th Separate Brigade of the Black Sea Fleet Marines. The main intelligence directorate reported that the explosions and detonations as a result of the sabotage took place in the temporary warehouse of the Russians' ammunition set. And I even know what kind of sabotage it was. I've heard that our agents trained a genetically modified pigeon, a la Mission Impossible style, with a weighty package to drop at precise coordinate, and since the warehouse was temporary, it was impossible to protect against this sabotage. Moreover, yesterday, July 29, Ukrainian forces attacked the Chongar Bridge again. This was stated by the temporarily leaving Ukrainian traitor Vladimir Saldo. His tall tale suggests that all 12 Storm Shadow missiles were shot down, leaving behind only minor damages to the railway by their fragments. But by a curious twist of fate, these minor fragments caused quite a stir, leading to a traffic jam for miles at the exit from Crimea. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Perhaps the fragments weren't as tiny as they were made out to be, which would indeed be good news, as it could seriously hamper the fighting efficiency of the Russian army due to interrupted supplies. Now for the icing on the cake. At the Russian-Africa summit, Putin found himself in the hot seat, answering questions and trying to clarify the situation at the front. Also, Maria Zakharova distinguished herself too. I suffered specifically for you watching this old feeble jerk who somehow decided that he is some world-class geopolitical strategist. But I must say that the representative of the Russian Foreign Ministry, Zakharova, managed to outshine him with just a single phrase. If you are eating, I suggest you pause for a moment. So Putin said, African countries want to cooperate with Russia in the military technical sphere. And who can blame them? If there is a chance to writing out some rubles from the Russians, it's a win, right? Russia has been kind enough to erase Somalia's debt of 670 million US dollars. Now that's cooperation, right? But there is a fun fact. An average Ivan, late with his utility bills, papers with demands to pay all the money immediately be stuck in his door on the dwelling, or they will cut off the sewage. But hey, why not lend a hand to Somalia, right? Putin. The story of the alleged abduction of children from Ukraine by Russia is inflated. It was an attempt to save them from orphanages, or should we just leave them there? Wait, maybe you shouldn't have attacked Ukraine? Or wild idea, perhaps give these kids back to Ukraine. The worst thing in this situation is that Russians have already set up propaganda among children and are trying to brainwash them. Next, he said, we can't cease fire if they are advancing on us. If Ukraine did not advance, we would definitely have stopped the fire, but that's not for sure. And then he said, as a whole, the African continent is friendly and positively disposed towards us. There are 54 independent countries in Africa, and only 17 presidents and 5 prime ministers came from these 54 independent countries. All others sent only representatives. Ask you wonder how many would have turned up if the grain agreement hadn't been on the card. Putin. It is impossible to receive information from the front line every hour. I try to communicate with the commanders as often as possible. It's not so simple to do this from the bunker. You guys should understand. I don't consider managing the troops to be my business. Not exactly my cup of tea, he said. And frankly, it's a shame Putin doesn't do the leading himself. Would have been quite a spectacle seeing him lead the charge. The armed forces of Ukraine have suffered significant losses in recent days. Now they are bringing people and equipment to the front line, and the equipment immediately disappears. They attack on food. How did he find out about this, you ask? Counted himself or what? Then he said, since the counteroffensive began, the armed forces of Ukraine lost 415 tanks. Why didn't Germans say that they supplied 415 tanks to us? Putin was like, we won't start delivering anything for free from tomorrow. You see, it's a simple formula. You give money, then we forgive that money. Easy peasy. First, fulfill our requirements, and then we will return to the grain deal, he said. Putin began to demand something from the UN and Turkey. Surprise, surprise. We remain the leaders in selling wheat stolen. As we were, so we remain it. So did Putin officially acknowledge that he is selling stolen goods? That's new. He said, the special military operation has begun. It has become very convenient to blame all mistakes on us. Interestingly, why so? No one wants a collision of the military Russian Federation and the US. So has the whole nuking Washington plan been toast? And the shutdown the American drone, what's it about? The head of certain subdivisions of Russia and the US directly in communication. Hey, my viewers from the States, did you catch wind on this? Then Putin said, we don't take anything away from anyone. We just marauder everything, haven't previously killed everyone. Putin refused to comment on the issue of returning Azov warriors to Ukraine, by the way. But why? Has someone been deceived again? And for dessert, Maria Zakharova. Don't you see that our guys are defending the right of the African continent to be free? So denazification and demilitarization of Ukraine is all done and dusted? Is it over? Now we need to protect the people of Africa. Seems the Russian army is wagging the battle for Burkina Faso and Rwanda's freedom ride in Ukraine, destroying Donbass. This is fucking bullshit. See you in my next videos. Slava Ukraini!